Hello and welcome to the first day of the 2014 Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. With a record 74 nations taking part, we're ready to witness 15 days of the most competitive equestrian sport ever seen. I'm Philip Gazala, and each day my home will be this studio where our daily talk show, Chez will bring you insights and updates from the fabulous venues across Normandy. We'll be welcoming guests into our studio to analyse their prospects, to learn what it's like to take part in such a major championship, and of course, to reflect on their performances. Today, I'm delighted to welcome two members of the Great Britain Dressage team, Carl Hester and Gareth Hughes. And also, we're joined with our roving reporter, Sienna. First of all, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know it's been a busy schedule this morning. Sienna, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here still, and I'm looking forward to seeing what today has in store.
Well, of course, today already has had something in store for you guys. The most important thing we need to let everyone know is about the Trot Up. How's everything gone?
Yes, we all sailed through the Trot Out, which obviously was a huge relief. It's always the first part of the competition. It's a fairly crazy atmosphere out there with the Trot Out, with over 100 horses going up and down the Trot Street. So I think there were a few that didn't quite get through, but I think our team we were very happy with them. The horses looked great.
So the whole of the British team got through? Yep. Great.
The whole team got through, so we're all happy. I mean, obviously our vet was there. We've been doing these Trot Ups. There is a little bit of an art to doing a Trot Up. It's not just a question of run down the ramp and back again. You know, the way, you know, all the horses move differently, and some of them need a little bit more care in their Trot Up, but they look very good.
Jolly good. Well done on that. Of course, last night we saw this wow factor of amazing opening ceremony. Actually, I don't think you guys were there, were you, last night?
No, we didn't make the opening ceremony. We watched a little bit on the screen at home, but we had a very early start this morning with our Trot Up, and obviously there's a lot of excited people that from Team Chiva that wanted to come and watch it. So Gareth and I relinquished our places so that some of the other members could come.
Well, Sienna was there, so let's just have a quick look at the opening ceremony last night.
So I'm backstage at the opening ceremony, and as you can see, there are tons of people and the atmosphere is building up. I genuinely have goosebumps. It is so exciting. We have all this over here, we have all the competitors, supporters over there. This is really going to be a fantastic show. So I'm making my way through all the competitors. Incredibly busy. Hello. I'm loving the outfit. It is absolutely fantastic.
It's specially made, of course, for the games in Normandy.
How are you feeling about this opening ceremony?
I'm really excited. It's my first World Equestrian Games, so I can't wait.
May I just say your suits are pristine. Long may they stay like that. Hello, Costa Rica! How are you all feeling? Great! I love this team spirit. This is exactly what the World Games is all about.
Oh, we are very excited, and we will see. And we are a big team from each disciplines, and I think it will be an adventure for us.
Oh, Lewis, how are you? I'm so sorry.
Come to
I
us.
need to go and interview you. Here, I'm with Lewis, who is the all the Spanish team. Hello. Hi, everybody.
This is the more exciting team.
It is actually.
It's gonna be the winner.
How are you feeling about the opening ceremony?
Yeah, we're really excited. It's our first World Games opening ceremony, so we really want to go out and enjoy it.
Hello. Now, you are somewhat of a legend at these events. However, does it still feel as special as your first Equestrian Games to be here now?
The last one are always the best ones, huh? To be part of the World Equestrian Games now is perfect, and I'm really happy and yeah, pleased to be here. It's an honor, and I'm quite excited what happens.
Well, I think we should go to the stadium right now. Come on then.
Where we go?
We're going to the stadium. I'm in the tunnel. We've got the countries making their way through. The stadium is packed. The atmosphere is unbelievable. This is exactly what we need for a World Equestrian Games. Nice legs.
Thank you very much.
You don't get to show them much in jobbers.
No, very true, very true.
Nice to get them out. For the French event at the arena, listen to that cheer. that experience for you in the stadium?
It was awesome. Of course, this was my first time, so it was very awesome to be there and represent my country.
Hello, hi. Don't be camera shy, it's okay, we're nice. How did you find that experience?
It's wonderful.
Yes,
Thank you.
good.
Yes.
Okay, well I feel like I'm scaring you, so enjoy.
Very, very proud to be here.
I've just found the French chef to keep. Now you got an incredible applause in there. How did it feel?
We feel great. All the people were very fantastic tonight, this crew there, and we know everybody will be behind us, and it's a good start because it makes a lot of emotion.
Your Highness, please.
Your Royal Highness, FEI TV, how have you enjoyed tonight?
It was beautiful, really, really stunning.
Well, your speech was wonderful. I had tears in my eyes, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, thank you.
Sienna, was that planned with the princess?
Well, I have always wanted to interview her, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get the opportunity, but I managed to, and gosh, it was such an honour. It was incredible.
It seemed to be a brilliant evening.
It was a wonderful evening. It was so nice to see all the countries coming together, celebrating what is such a fantastic event. And wow, did France get an amazing applause. It was pretty spectacular.
It was a very, very impressive. I'm sorry you guys weren't there, but let's get back to the action. Of course, tomorrow you both start. Now, you've already experienced riding here in Caen because you came to the test event, which I think went quite well, Gareth, didn't it? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it gave us opportunity, I think it was 6 weeks ago, gave us the opportunity to bring the horses into the same stadium that we'd be competing in, the stables, the warm-up, the competition arena is exactly the same as what it will be here. So, yeah, I mean, it made it easier sort of coming in this time as well because we knew what we were coming to. The horses had a look in the stadium. Okay, it's not going to have the same atmosphere with the amount of people, but there's still a big atmosphere walking through that tunnel into that big arena.
He didn't pick up on my cue. I wanted him to tell me how you got on. He's too embarrassed. Well, Carl, you tell us how you both got on the test event.
Actually, we had a really good test event. I mean, Gareth and I were first and second in the Grand Prix, and then we both opted for the special because we could have ridden the Grand Prix special or the freestyle. So. We both then went for the special, and Gareth very kindly let me win that, so he was second, so that ensured a nice chatty trip home because we were all we both had a win. So yeah, we were happy. The support crew in the back were also, I think, quite relieved that we'd had a share of the spoils.
A lot of mutual back slapping on the way back to England, was there?
We actually had quite a fun time here because I mean the test event itself, as Gareth said, the one thing that was missing, which was a little weird, was the stadium full of people. So they weren't actually allowing spectators in when we did the test event. But we also had a run through of the medal ceremony, and obviously because Gareth and I had finished in gold medal and silver medal position, I don't know whether that'll ever happen again, but I hope it does this week. And of course we had to wave to nobody and look extremely ecstatic about the fact that we'd won these individual medals, which we hadn't. And then we were made to run around the actual main stadium on foot. So hopefully that
was the hardest thing I think of the whole test event.
Well, actually, you've picked up on something there, Carl. You said that, of course, it was an empty stadium. Now, Nip Tuck, the horse you're riding, he's only 10 years old.
He is, yeah.
So, of course, Madonna's 16, so more experience with crowds and things. With a full stadium, how will that affect Nip Tuck, or will it indeed?
Well, the only thing I could say about that is, in fact, last year, we say Madonna's 16, but last year when she was 15, she went into a full stadium, and the atmosphere can affect them at any age. So either they are like that or they're not. And Nip Tuck is a very sensitive, he's a very hot horse. And he coped absolutely fantastically, and that's why I brought him here to see, because I mean basically I feel that the arena here is far enough away from the crowds that actually you can deal with the noise quite easily. What you never know is whether they're going to go around the edge or not when you go in, and so it's basically giving them that confidence so that they can behave. But I think you'll find most riders that you talk to, when you talk to them about their horses' personalities, there's very few riders that will say, oh, my horse was an absolute angel from the day I rode it till the day it won a medal. They normally come with stories of being highly sensitive, of being highly strung. You have to get the better of them, but these are the horses that actually really want to work and generally do tend to go towards the top end.
Obviously, you compete both indoors and outdoors. I wanted to just come back to about the closeness of the of the audience. You go to one of the indoor shows, let's take, for example, London Olympia, where they're very, very close. That does make a big difference, does it? Or do you know, to some horses, that's just too much?
It is, and also, you know, if you think where the horse's eye level is, when you're talking about London Olympia, you know, their eye level is with the bottom platform of people where they sit, and then it goes on up. And of course, the horses, if they're not particularly concentrated, tend to, you know, they do this a lot because they're looking up at all the crowds. You know, it's a very different atmosphere for the horse, because if any of you know what happens behind the main arena, it's a very small practice area. You're often just there with your family, your groom, your trainer. There's no atmosphere, and then how do you prepare a horse to come down a chute into a stadium of 20,000 people and say, you know, I mean, who made a dressage test? The first thing we have to do is halt and stand still. Crazy, you know. I mean, really, you want to like keep going so the horse relaxes. But it's a very difficult thing to practice for, because of course we don't often have events like this with so many spectators. So you really do have to have a good partnership with your horse that you will trust it will actually perform for you.
And the Donna's 16. Actually, how long have you had her?
I've been riding her for about 3.5 years now. So she was sort of stepping up into the Grand Prix when I took over the ride.
And Gareth, with a horse of 16 in the sport of dressage, how many years would a horse like that have left?
Well, it depends on the individual horse, but I mean, if they're fit and healthy and strong, then she could probably have another couple of years at top level. It is a sport that they do go on longer for. You know, some of the sports, you look at something like racing, where they're extremely young, where we're sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, really. So they can have a long career.
Okay. One of the questions that comes up quite a lot, and I'm interested to know, is when you're at home preparing for an event, how often do you run through the complete test at home? Or do you ever run through the complete test at home?
I mean,
how often?
I think like with the competing, and we compete, and when we come home, I think it's sort of letting the horses down. And then really sort of a couple of weeks before we come back out, then we start sort of programming them back in, and then we start running through the test.
Yeah, it's a question of linking all the movements together, obviously, before something like this. I mean, you need, you know, I mean, what we're trying to do is do what we call a clean test, in other words, with no mistakes. So it's really important. There's an art to test riding. So there's an art to obviously getting your horse supple to prepare it to do all these Grand Prix movements. But there's a specific art to test riding, you know, being accurate, actually like following the letters, doing everything in the right place. And for that, you really do need somebody on the ground. You know, sometimes, you know, I'll get a judge in to sit with us and just watch us ride a test. Charlotte and I obviously work together, so we always have eyes on the ground every day when we ride, so that we can be more accurate and really fine-tune the details. So probably like 3 weeks before an event like this, we start linking all the Grand Prix movements together. And for instance, this time, you know, hired a venue just down the road from me. We platted the horses up. I think they were a bit surprised. There was nobody there. There was just me and Charlotte with 2 platted horses in top hat and you go through the
whole dress rehearsal.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we run it as a competition for ourselves. And we get the judge. Yeah, we're very lucky. We live next to Hartbury, so Philip, that runs Hartbury, you know, wheels out the judges' boxes for us, and he puts them out, and we run through it as a test, so that we really have an idea of what we need to polish up on. But of course, you know, we've been riding the same Grand Prix for probably 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
So the horses know this test. So you don't want to actually run through it too often, because I mean, then you get anticipation, and then the horse starts taking over. It knows when it's, you know, when it's time to change gear and paces and all that sort of thing. So it's not always a great idea to be continually, you know, going through this Grand Prix that we'll be riding.
No. Now, in show jumping, as at the end of this next couple of weeks in the show jumping competition, the top 4 are going to swap horses and ride. Would that work in dressage?
Yeah. I think it would work, wouldn't it?
It'd certainly be interesting, wouldn't it?
I would quite like to see it.
Yeah. I'd love to do that.
Would you?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I don't know if I'd love everyone riding my horse, but I would. I don't know how you'd feel about that. I mean, yeah, I would be very proud of the horse, actually, if it actually managed to do a good job with somebody else on it. I think that's the art of, you know, training and dressage. I mean, anybody should be able to get on your horse and ride it. So I mean, it would be interesting.
I suppose it's related to a question about communication and about aids. You know, I know you and Charlotte swap rides quite well, but of course you've worked together for a very long time. But are there aids that you would use that others wouldn't use? I mean, would it work if you just jumped on somebody else's horse? Or would you suddenly find yourself going into a piaffe when it should have been something else?
There's probably the odd one that there might be a little miscommunication, but overall we do use the same aids. I suppose it's just sort of the feel of how you connect them up and sort of the strengths and weaknesses.
Obviously, if Gareth at 6 foot something got paired with a 5'2" lady out there.
Because your leg touches
your legs
in
are
different
in
places.
places. So.
I might find I get on them and the horses and galloping off with me because my legs.
You might be talking about the farrier.
Very quickly because
those great legs went on. Some horse that's not used to them.
Touch the horse where they're not used to be touched because they get used to where your aids are. So if you start touching them in a different place, they can be really sensitive.
So what happens now then? The horses have had a trot up this morning, and will you ride them today?
Yeah, so the main arena is open for familiarisation this afternoon, so we'll all get a chance to take the horses in. Again, we do that quite individually. We get a 30-minute slot for the whole team, but Gareth would like, for instance, to ride down through the tunnel on his own. So, because the horses are they love to be with each other, so if one goes down, inevitably all the others will follow it, but we want to try and do it individually, make sure that they go down there on their own, they're happy to go through the tunnel into the main arena, and then we're going to do like 3 minutes maybe on our own, actually in the competition arena. Don't forget when you're at an event like this as well, sometimes our horses are having different lives than they do at home. I mean, for instance, mine, goes out in a field a lot to keep him quiet so that he can take all his energy out in a field. You can't do that here. So, we might sometimes have to ride twice a day, 3 times a day, or just lead them out and graze them a lot and just really try and let them soak up the atmosphere. But we get a chance as well tomorrow morning. Gareth and I are number 1 and 2 to ride in the team, so we can actually go in the main arena again tomorrow morning. We have an hour slot for everybody, so that I think this is great. This is one of the good things that's happened with competing, the fact that we're allowing the horses an equal playing field. So the whole idea is about the sport. So we want the horses to be able to feel comfortable where they are and all compete, level really.
And so you've got the hour tomorrow morning. So I presume different horses will have a different amount of time required for warming up. That's just both physically and mentally, I take it. I mean, Gareth, Nadonna, what does she need?
Usually, it depends on what your time is. The competition starts tomorrow morning at 8:15. So if you are going to go into the main arena, you might have a sort of short ride there, and I think if you're going to ride twice, then the ride before you actually compete will be shortened down to maybe 20 minutes. Usually we sort of look at about 45 minutes. It gives us time to get them out, walk them around, get them warmed up. Usually on a whole.
You say get them warmed up. I mean, that might be a bit different though. Does Nip Tuck have a similar time, or would you be riding?
Well, tomorrow what I will be doing is I'm going in there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I will feel how buzzy he is, and then I'll decide to stay on for like 30 minutes or an hour. I might just mooch about and walk, and then he'll come back. I mean, we've left all his plats in from his trot up this morning, so I'm trying to catch him out a little bit, so he's not too sure whether he's competing today or tomorrow. So just try to I obviously don't know what he's like in big competition because he's 10 years old, He's very young. I think the youngest horse here is 9 years old in the Grand Prix. So, it's a bit of a learning curve. So I'm feeling my way around, and he's got very attached to Vallegro, who's stabled next door to him, and so every time Vallegro leaves the stables at the moment, there's a lot of neighing and banging and crying, and as the case, the biggest horse in the stable is the mouse of them all. He's terrified of everybody and everything.
Yeah, he's 18-1 or something.
Yeah, he is. He's huge. Yeah, I have a step ladder to get up there, pulling my way up on a rope almost to get on top. It's a lot of horse to handle if he's feeling particularly fresh.
We must. You mentioned Vallegro. We must ask about Vallegro. Everything okay there?
Yeah, Vallegro looks great. He is an old pro, and he will. You never want to leave anything to chance. So we will take him in there this afternoon. He'll just walk. He was going to have his working session this morning, and then he'll just walk in there this afternoon just so he can have a look around. He's almost better having a little bit of a surprise, so he feels really perky about the whole thing. He is only 12 years old, but he's been international Grand Prix now for 4 years. Yeah. So he's seen a lot. He's been there, done it, and he just needs to be kept fresh. But he looks great. Obviously for Charlotte to have to come back after Aachen and compete here, that's a pretty big ask for her. None of us were expecting what happened. So we've done a little bit of getting him fitter, and she's had a bit of psychology to wind her up a little bit to it as well, and it looks fantastic, but he always looks fantastic. He is a professor of dressage, and it's very difficult to imagine him not doing his best, so I hope it'll return to normal on Tuesday.
Sienna, I know that you're accomplished in the sport of eventing, which obviously has a dressage element, but do you look at the dressage at this level with envy? Or, you know, it's...
I've always had a complete passion for dressage, pure dressage. I started off doing pure dressage, and it is one area that I would like to get back into as well. So I think I'd quite like to do more dressage with my eventing horse, because he's great at all his movements, but he usually does them in a test when he's not supposed to. I often think that he should join the Lipizzaner school, because I think he'd be brilliant. So, oh, he's hilarious. So yeah, it's definitely an area that I'd like to concentrate on more.
Well, of course, dressage kicks off tomorrow. You said you're the first two in the team. What times do you go tomorrow?
Draws later on today.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
First horse goes down the centre line at 8:15. So the first session is through to lunchtime. So I could be on at 8:15. I could be on at midday. So when we're talking about preparation, you don't really know until you get to the draw, and then we go from there.
Well, the very best of luck to you both, and to the whole of the British team, and indeed to all the competitors that are here this week in dressage. Of course, the other sport that we've got starting tomorrow morning at a similar time, I think, is the sport of reining. And so let's just go and take a look at the reining that's coming up tomorrow.
So here I am in the Reining arena, which is only a short distance away from the main stadium. Now the atmosphere is really building, and as you can see, got some of the guys here warming up behind me. So there are 25 nations competing here in the reining, and I'm just about to catch up with a couple of the competitors. And how's your horse feeling today?
Well, I hope he's feeling good. So far he feels good. Walking up here he's been good.
Good, nice to hear it. And is this your first time at a World Equestrian Games?
It's my first time to compete at the games. I've been to every games with the reiners though, supporting my husband and the rest of the team.
And have you ridden yet, your horse in the warm-up?
Not today. Yesterday I rode him a little bit and he was quite good.
He felt well, he felt good?
Yeah, he felt real good.
And is he quite experienced, this horse?
Yeah, he is. He's actually been to the games in 2010. He lived in Italy for a while. He's been on the Canadian team, so my horse has been around a lot.
Very well travelled.
Yes, he is.
Hi, Greta.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Sienna. Very well, thank you. So you are part of the German team.
Yes, right.
And you've just had your warm-up now?
Yes, we just warmed up the horses and trained a little bit, and for Monday.
Okay, lovely. And how does your horse feel after the journey here?
Well, you know, we did a little slow today, so because they had a big travel, like a long travel, so we gotta be careful a little bit, and we still have a few days.
Okay.
And he'll be all right. He'll be all right by the time I have to show him.
The arena's very nice, the ground is good, everybody's very organised. It was great.
Fantastic. And your horse feels on good form?
Yes, this is 10 Reasons. He actually is my husband's horse, who he's lent me for this competition. And so it'll be our first major event together, but he feels fantastic.
So you're part of the Italian team?
Yeah, the Italian team.
And have you been to a World Equestrian Games before?
No, this is the first time. I've been showing in the European FEI show and in the World Championship show in Italy when it was in the 2008, but first time I show at World Equestrian Games.
And how are you feeling about this competition?
I have to say I really feel my horse good. He's really in shape, and I really like the arena. The ground is perfect for him. I think it's going to be good.
So you're a member of the Dutch team?
Yes.
And what is your name?
Ricky Young.
Okay, and is this your first time at the World Games?
No, it's my third time. I went to Aachen and then we went to Kentucky and now we're in Normandy. But I love the World Equestrian Games. It's such a cool event, so I'm really happy to be part of it again.
And reining is one of the sports we start off with tomorrow. And I'm very pleased to be welcomed with two members of Team USA, Jeff Petska, Chef to Keep, and Mandy McCutcheon. Jeff, before we come back to Mandy, who we saw in that clip, I just want to have a word with you about management of the team. How's everybody been getting here? You've come a long way.
Everything's been very good. Trip over was very good. Our housing for prior to coming over here to the venue was great. Had some good schooling. Got moved in here to the venue. Stables are good. Everybody's settled in, and we had some good schooling up to this point, and we're excited for the jog today.
Actually, how long have you been here? How long before the games did you come?
The horses got here last Saturday, actually, and the riders got here Tuesday, actually, and then we rode a couple days near Paris and then came on over.
Okay. Well, Mandy, we saw you in that clip. Your first time in the World Equestrian Games. First of all, how are you feeling today?
Pretty good. You know, been a little bit nervous the whole week, but just the fact that I get to be here and that I'm on the team and get to represent the USA is amazing in itself. So what happens from here out is just icing on the cake.
Now you, of course, are not a professional, and that's quite rare. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I'm lucky. I've grown up riding horses, but I don't train horses on a daily basis. I have 2 kids that I run around, and we have a pretty large business. My husband, Tom McCutcheon, and I have a very large business, and then I also ride over at my parents, Tim and Colleen McQuaid's. So I drive a lot, and I drive my kids around a lot, and I get to show a lot, but I don't ride on a daily basis as much as people probably think.
Now, of course, the name Tom McCutcheon, synonymous with the sport of reining, and of course we saw him in Kentucky winning the gold medal. He's actually not in the team this weekend, but he is here as an individual. Yeah. How's that going down in the family?
Fine, he's excited for me. You know, he's been telling everybody that I followed him all over, and now he doesn't mind following me. So he's been very supportive. Jeff,
it's as chef to keep. You've obviously got a lot on your plate managing it, but it's not your responsibility to pick the team, is it? Who gets that horrible job?
Actually, we have a qualifying process that our riders go to. They have to qualify to go to then our final that was held in Lexington, and then our judging system. How the riders place in that last competition determines whether they get on the team or not.
Is that I mean, obviously USA have had reining as a big sport for a long time, so I am presuming there's a tremendous amount of riders that want to get on that team. Is that pretty tough? I think you finished second in Kentucky, Mandy, didn't you? Yeah. Is it tough to get on the team?
It is very difficult to get on the team. It is, you know, like most riders' dream to make it onto the U.S. team, and once they realize or if they've been here once, they try even harder to get back on just because of the experience. Representing your country, being part of a team like we do here is very unique to our sport. And so everybody that has had the experience wants to duplicate it, and those that have heard about it are trying very hard to get on the team.
Over the last few years, since reining's become more popular, obviously the American flag tends to be the one on the centre pole at the podium situation. There's a lot more nations now taking on reining. Are you finding more nations snapping at your heels?
Oh yes, it's become so much more competitive. I'd say the playing field is level.
Really?
Yes, I would say definitely the playing field is level. The other countries, not only they have excellent horsemen, they've been, whether they get their horses in the U.S. or raising their own, it is just the leap that reining has taken from the first time we went to now, and even from the last games. It just every time it gets tougher and tougher and tougher, and our riders are fully aware that they have a target on their back, and that you know it's going to be a very, very stiff competition all the way through.
You've been chef to keep what for 14 odd years now or something, haven't you? I mean,
it's been a while, yeah, since the first one.
So, has your job changed? Have you found? I mean, I don't want to go down the political route, but you know, I presume it's got a bit more difficult. Has it a bit more tense? It's all a bit more pressure.
No, not. I don't believe it has. Of course, you know, there's always a learning process, and so in the first one, I'd say ignorance was bliss. I really didn't know what to expect, and we just took everything as it came. But pretty much, it's always the same. We have schedules to work around. We have those types of things, and schooling restrictions, which our riders just fit into. They understand how it works when we come here, and they seem to adapt very, very well. And things tend to go pretty smoothly. But once again, I'd attribute a lot of that to just the group of people that we have that helps us get to this point.
Like the federation?
Our federation, and then just as far as directly related to the team, we have our team vet, John Newcomb, who is outstanding. Been to everyone, and is just a phenomenal person, does a fantastic job with the horses. Our grooms, you know, what they do, all those things that take place behind the scene, our staff liaison and our director of our sport, chef de mission, all those people that do so much to get this to go off like it should. As far as for me, I just look at it, my job is to try to help put our riders in the best position possible to do what they do best.
Right. Mandy, one of the things we ought to mention is that you've just your earnings have just topped a staggering $2 million. Why I think that's an important point is that there's a lot of people in the world that might not be that familiar with reining. They might be involved in another equestrian discipline. That's a lot of money. Is that, I take it, some of these competitions obviously have big prize money. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have some horse shows that have some great prize money. There's a horse show in April called the National Reining Breeders' Classic that pays nearly $40,000 to the non-pro champion. So it's you know, the prize money in the reining has gotten to be really, really good over in the States.
Now that's interesting. You mentioned $40,000 for a non-pro, which is your category. You've won over $2 million. You've been pretty successful over the last few years, I take it, just working the numbers out. You've won a lot of competitions.
Yeah, I mean, I started showing reiners when I was 10, so.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing about 18 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Mandy, it also hasn't gone unnoticed that over the years it has been mainly men in the sport. Are there more ladies coming through?
You know, there's a lot of ladies in the non-pro division. There's a few very successful women that train horses as well. So, you know, it evens out.
Yeah. And from your point of view, Jeff, what about the age group of the teams that you've been managing? Because, again, if you go back a few years and you, the sort of the gentlemen that have taken part tend to probably have been 40, 50 years old. Is the age group dropping?
There's one that wasn't 40 or 50.
I'm generalizing.
But my dad's been on two teams, and he was on the 06 team and the 2010 team.
Right.
Yeah, team gold medal, individual silver. So, and he's 62 this year.
Yeah.
Long legacy here.
Yeah, well, of course, and your family name before you were married was McQuay, that's right, of course, steeped in the history of the sport. Mandy, where do you go from here in terms of horses? Because I know that you breed, you do have a breeding program yourself. Is it mainly American quarter horses?
Yep.
Is that the only breed of horse that you can use in reining, or are there others that you can use?
Well, we've been pretty successful with the paint stallion. That's double registered, actually, paint and quarter horse. Gunner was my father's stallion, who's actually the sire to Gunner's Special Night, who's now the sire that Tom and I stand for Sarah Williman for her Turnabout Farm that he won the golds on in Kentucky. So it's the dominant breed for sure, but there's several other breeds that are successful in the reining.
And why is that breed so successful in the sport? What is it that makes, I mean, we obviously have seen what happens in the sport and it's extremely impressive, but tell us what's so specific about that breed, or is there anything specific about that breed that makes them very good at reining?
Well, I feel like over the years we have worked really hard to breed specific mares and specific stallions that are good at reining, that have the quality maneuvers that we look for. So over the last several years, several breeders in our industry have taken that and refined it and tried to make it the best they can with quarter horses. And that's how it started way back.
And part of that breeding program, is that involving a temperament as well? Is that very...
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Now the other thing that I learned yesterday, because I've been doing a bit of homework, is the age that you start. I was watching some nice horses yesterday working, and I was chatting to just people standing around the practice arena, and they were telling me that horse was 6 years old or 7 years old, and I said, oh, that seems quite young compared to some other sports, equestrian sports. But you start them quite early, don't you? Tell us, Jeff, what time do you start training a horse?
They usually start the horses early in their 2-year-old year. We have one of our major events is a 3-year-old futurity. And so we start those horses around that time so we can spread out that training over a long period of time so it's better for them. And that's a very big part of our industry, but there's a lot that goes into working with those young horses and working with them properly in order to bring them along at a pace that they can handle in order to be successful, not only as 3-year-olds, but you know, obviously the goal is to be successful all the way through and get to come to a World Games, and that's very important to us.
And is there a peak age? You know, when do they generally hit their prime? What sort of age?
Well, it depends on the individual. Some horses or they mature early and they're very, very successful as 3-year-olds.
Okay.
And then some horses, you know, they may not peak until their 4, 5, and even 6-year-old year. So it depends on the individual, and our programs and our riders are very good at determining that. If a horse needs a little time, they give them a little time. If they're ready to go, they go. So, you know, like Mandy said, they have a breeding program. So they have a huge interest in those horses going on and being successful. And so I think all of our riders, they take a lot of interest, they invest a lot of time and money and emotion in these horses. And you have to keep in mind that we all started this just because we love horses.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change. It's just the level at which we compete might change. But at the end of the day, the thing that binds us all together, whether it's reiners or jumpers or dressage, is just the fact that when we were little kids, we just couldn't stay away from them.
And now let's just talk a little bit about being here in Normandy. Of course, we've seen it's been a massive opening ceremony last night. Mandy, you took part in that. In fact, you had a very privileged position. Did you not? I think you carried the flag.
No, just the U.S. sign.
The U.S. sign, okay, yeah, but even still, you were took part. Tell us, what was that like? Because it looked a very impressive opening ceremony.
Yeah, it was really thrilling. My husband and I talked about it afterwards. You know, when you walk into the stadium and everybody is just the atmosphere and everybody's so excited, it definitely gives you a tingle.
Yeah. And did you actually manage to watch the whole of the ceremony? Did you?
Yeah,
you did.
Most of it.
Yeah,
it was very entertaining.
It was, I don't know if you've seen Lorenzo before, the gentleman with the grey horses that he has. Have you seen him before? Mm-mm. What did you think of him?
Well, I think he went while we were waiting.
Oh, okay, you didn't see him.
Yeah, we didn't get to see him. We missed some of it because, you know, we were lined up in the tunnels waiting to go in, so
sure.
We didn't get to see everything.
Now, about the ground, I went down, as I say, yesterday to watch some of you guys practice, and everyone's very happy with the ground, because the going is very important to you, isn't it? And tell us about that. You know, what is it? It's a square arena. Does that make a difference whether it's round or whether it's square?
The dimensions are important. Obviously, the larger, the better. Gives our horses more room to move freely. The surface is very, very important to us, and they've done a very good job here making sure that the surface is prepared properly, and that it's good to. They have the cushion for the running of the circles, but also the ground is good enough for them to perform the sliding stop. Okay. So it's been good. The dimensions are good. It just adds a good feel.
Yeah.
In there.
The atmosphere was even great. There were no crowds, of course, because you were practicing, but the atmosphere in that arena did feel very, very good. One of the things that, apart from everything being covered, all the competitions going to be covered on FEI TV throughout the whole 2 weeks. We're also running a whole social media. Bits of it I don't really understand myself, a bit too old for that, but a whole social media roundup to give information out across the world. And so we're just going to cut for a minute to go and see what Sienna's got in line with the social media this week.
We'll be getting very social here during the Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. Join in for all the latest news, exclusive images and unforgettable videos that can be accessed through the FEI's official accounts on FEI TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so there's no excuse to miss out on the action here. Don't forget to download the FEI Sport app to keep you completely updated on all the scores throughout the games. It will also give you access to the entire FEI calendar, event schedules and so much more. There is also the Horsify Me app, just launched by the FEI, as a fun idea that our horses are part of us. Take a photo of yourself, choose a horse face, and horsify yourself. So go on, take a selfie, and don't forget those hashtags. Also, why not get involved in the horse quiz by FEI? You can test your knowledge by answering just 3 questions, giving you the chance of winning some amazing prizes, including VIP tickets to the Furaccia FEI Nations Cup jumping final in Barcelona. While you're at it, have a look through the revamped FEI athlete biographies to find your heroes and see who's been on top form in the run-up. Philip and I will be here every day with a whole host of celebrity guests in the Chez Philippe studio. So keep up to date with that and follow us on FEI TV, FEI YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for everything FEI.
And all the action, of course, starts tomorrow. And we wish, Jeff and Mandy, wish you both very good luck. We hope your horses leave here sound. But Mandy, again, many congratulations to be at your first Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. And Jeff, good luck to the whole of your team, the whole of your crew, in fact. It's not just about the riders, it's about everything else. And we'll be back tomorrow with the end of the first day of sport, with the second episode of Chez Philip.